This is a 2023 Tesla Model 3, and today we will be applying a sound treatment to the B pillar in the middle. So first pillar goes up that way, A pillar, B pillar. I imagine that's called the C pillar, but we're going to be applying treatment all the way down. Here are the materials we're going to be using. This is 80 mil. That's how they measure the thickness of this stuff. This is a butyl rubber. The idea of butyl rubber is to deaden the metal, is to reduce the sound that comes from vibrations of the metal and also resonances. A lot of people use it to deaden their panels when they're installing a sound system, upgrading their speakers and stuff, so that they don't get vibrations on the metal. We're going to be using that. This is closed cell foam. Closed cell foam is used to reduce the noise that's actually going through that way. So ideally with this stuff you want 100% coverage, because any gaps in there is going to allow sound waves to come through, but this should help reduce any sound waves going that way into the cavity. This is a fiber, I forget what this was called, some kind of fiber sound absorber. It has all of these have a sticky back on it. This has a sticky back on it. The idea of this is to absorb any sound that's bouncing around in the cavity. So that will help reduce vibrations on the metal. This will help stop sound from going through the metal, and any sound that is inside the cavity, this will help absorb that sound and keep it from transmitting into the cabin. My goal here is to reduce somewhat road noise, maybe a little bit of wind noise, but I think mostly I'm going to see a reduction in the sound of water getting flung up on the bottom of the car. I did another video, a previous video, on deadening the rocker panel. I have done the rocker panel and the B pillar on the driver's side so far. Did notice a huge difference. It felt like I'm driving around with cotton in my left ear. This is a US car, so it's a left-hand drive. So driver's side on the left, way different, especially driving around in the rain, the water getting flung up on the bottom side. I'm not hearing it at all, basically, on the driver's side. And then on this side, the passenger side, where I don't have any treatment, I can hear a lot of it. It's where I can hear every raindrop. Previous video, I did the rocker panel. So far, I have not done the B pillar. After doing the rocker panel, driving around for a week or so in the rain, it wasn't as dramatic on the passenger side as it was on the driver's side. So I'm hoping that the missing piece is that I have not done the B pillar yet. My theory is that the sound is getting transmitted from the rocker panel up into the B pillar. I think I'm also getting some wind noise from wind getting in between the doors and that sort of thing that is getting transmitted through the B pillar. So gonna do it, give it a shot, and hopefully it's as quiet as the other side, because it was dramatically different, and that's the only thing I can come up with, is that's the missing piece. To get to the inside of the B pillar, you're just gonna pull that piece off where the seatbelt goes. You just get the weather stripping out of the way, get your fingers in there on both sides, and pull straight towards the middle of the car. One thing that you can do that'll help you out a bit is these seat belts. If you're able to remove that seat belt, then you can remove this whole trim piece from the car and not have to do your treatment inside the car. There's a tool you can get, a seatbelt release tool, that you shove up in those holes there, and then this part comes out of there. I've seen videos of it. Looks pretty easy. I wasn't able to get, I don't have a tool for it. I wasn't able to get it to work with my little skinny Allen wrench that I stuck in there. It's not a big deal for me, because there's still enough room to get this piece out and work on it. It's no problem. I'm just gonna do it the hard way. A couple of notes when pulling this B panel off. This material can be scratched pretty easily, and this is hard, and it has a pointy bit right there in that corner. So you want to be careful when you're uninstalling it and installing it, that you're not dragging that corner across this material. You can get little scratches. Same thing if you're pulling the A pillar apart, which I have done to do some speaker wiring and stuff. Be very careful when you're, mostly when I've had trouble when I'm trying to reinstall it. This top part will come apart from this bottom part. is just friction clipped in there. So if you just pull on the top part, that might come apart. I'm going to also remove this bottom part, and it might just come apart in one piece for you. This piece goes all the way down here. That will pull, let's see, I think the back part might need to come up as well to get that to come unclipped. And then the same thing over there. I can't remember which overlaps which, but you might need to get in there. Just pull that back, that weather stripping. Pull that part over the rocker panel up to get this part up as well. Here I have the trim removed. I did take the upper part apart from the bottom part. Here's the bottom part. I'm going to deaden the plastic there, apply closed cell foam, and apply that fiber fill to that piece. The metal itself, I'm going to deaden. It's not like there's big pieces here. It doesn't resonate a lot, but I do want to cover these holes, so I'm going to cover all these holes. Make sure that you don't cover the holes that the trim's going to go back in, but I'm going to cover that hole because I suspect there's sound being transmitted up through this cavity here. And I'm going to cover this hole here, same thing. And then the top part where the seat belt goes through, I will put some deadener on the flat pieces, and then the same thing, closed cell foam, and then the fiber fill on that. Here are my first steps. I put a piece of the butyl rubber on that little indent up here. These two giant gaping holes, I applied the closed cell foam to the inside of the door. It was a little tricky trying to reach my hand up in there to get that to seal. This is the sticky side, so it's stuck from the inside. And I covered up a little bit of the seatbelt hole down there too. You do want to make sure wherever you're applying this stuff that you're not interfering with the action of the seatbelt that's going to go up and down. This stuff is pretty slick, so I'm not too worried about covering, about having this under the seatbelt. I think it'll slide even better than it'll slide over the middle. But hopefully that'll help block any noise transmission that's coming up through the inside of that cavity there. Couple of last minute tips. One thing I tried to show but I wasn't able to narrate it at the time is when you're doing the inside of this upper part, make sure this part slides up and down, so make sure you're not putting any material that's going to in a place where it's going to stop that. I did find it easier to leave these separated and then snap the top part in first and then snap the bottom part in and snap this into the bottom part. It did take a little bit of prying. I had to push it up pretty hard into the ceiling to get these pieces to snap in, but they did. And then also to get these to line up, just pushing it up here. And then on the back part, there is a little part where this clips together. And this bottom part, oh man, that's dirty. This bottom part does go under the back part, so you gotta lift this up before you can take the bottom part of the B-pillar out. And the same thing in the front. Pull this part up, it just pulls straight up. You can see how that part, the B-pillar trim, used to go on the bottom. so that this connector can go through there. So now all that's left to do is kind of snap those in place, put the weather stripping back, which is super easy, just pushes back in place, and wait for the next rain. Right now it's beautiful, but I can't wait to see what the effect is.